Hi guys, welcome to LWR2. Before I start, just a warning that this video includes discussions around railway safety and fatalities on level crossings, including suicide. There's nothing graphic, but this one might not be for you if it's something you find upsetting. So I like to walk the dog in the fields next to our local railway line. It's a double main line and it's not particularly busy or exciting. It sees around 3 or 4 trains an hour, mainly Class 800s and DMUs. Although I did once see the Network Rail measurement train. I'll stick some footage up of trains going through in the background so you can get an idea of what the area is like. On one side of the line there are these farmers' fields, but we're not that far from houses and there's even a new build estate a few hundred metres away. On the other side there's a park with a couple of football pitches and a kids' play area, but more importantly there's also the pub. To get from one side of the line to the other there's a foot crossing with a couple of gates either side. You walk up some steps, check there's no train coming, and walk across. No fancy barriers, lights or noises, just stop, look, listen and cross. And before moving here I'd always lived in large towns or cities, and you'd never see something like this. It just blew my mind. I couldn't believe that these type of crossings still existed where users were actually trusted to cross the line safely on foot. And this is actually a really busy crossing because, as I said, you need to use it to get to the pub. But when you stop and think about it, it's actually pretty safe. Gates stop young kids and dogs from straying accidentally onto the line, there's lots of signage, and trains only occupy the rails here for around 2 minutes every hour. So even if you just walked out without checking, you've got a 97% chance of getting across safely. But accidents and fatalities do happen here. Sadly, some of those are people who have chosen to end their lives, and I'm aware of at least 2 in the recent past. But we also know that users don't treat this crossing with the respect it deserves. Network Rail set up cameras on this very crossing and captured people doing incredibly silly things. All this got me curious, so I looked up the stats for UK railway fatalities, and there were 2 sites that came up with potentially useful information. Statistica, which suggested around 300 people each year die on the railways, but 85 to 90% of those are suicides, so over the last 10 years, deaths attributable to accidents are around 20 to 50 people each year. I always treat stats with a large amount of scepticism, but overall, I think we can say that the chance of being accidentally killed on the railway is very low. It seemed comparable to dying from having a bath. Anyway, enough with the morbid statistics. Why am I going on about this crossing? Well, about 3 weeks ago, a load of workmen turned up and started to do something with the crossing. And this looked like a big operation. They had a porter cabin, they put down a temporary path for vehicles, and were working on it for a good couple of weeks. I thought they were installing ramps to make the crossing more accessible and to stop people walking directly up the steps onto the tracks. But what they were actually doing was putting in this massive traffic light system. They've installed a cabinet next to the line, presumably part of the train detection and control system. Then right next to where you cross is now this massive set of red and green lights on either side. And these lights are bright. We crossed at night, and because they're at face level and enormous, you're totally blinded. So whereas previously you could actually see the headlights of approaching trains, now you lose all your night vision when you get to the top of the stairs. Let's take a look at them in action. And within days of them becoming operational, some local criminals decide to smash them, which is why the crossing now appears to be closed again. So whilst I appreciate Network Rail's efforts to improve safety at this crossing, I really do have to question their choice of methods, and it got me thinking, firstly, how much did this cost? Secondly, what are they hoping to achieve? And thirdly, what could they have done better? Well, I don't have the answer to the first question, and I've not been able to find any reliable estimates. But given that it's taken a team of about 6 people a few weeks, I think we can safely say that it's not cheap. Plus the equipment and the ongoing maintenance and repair costs. I assume we're talking in the low 6-figure range. And they could be back every few weeks replacing the lights if the vandals keep smashing them. For the second question, what are they hoping to achieve? Well, I assume they wanted to make the crossing safer by alerting people to the oncoming trains. But I think the stats have shown that there are very few deaths due to accidents, and the odds of being hit by chance on this particular crossing are relatively low. Lights and sirens won't stop suicides, and they won't stop kids from messing around on the tracks. Plus, Network Rail have now made themselves responsible for maintaining those lights, and if something does happen when they're not working, or in the rare case they malfunction, then they open themselves up to claims. And should an incident occur, they'll need to prove that they were working at the time to make sure they don't get the blame. And the third question, could they have done better? Well, in my opinion, yeah. A redesign of the approach to the tracks, including a ramp, would not only make the crossing more accessible and remove the possibility of tripping on steps, but it also gives people more time to assess the risks as they come up the ramps and stops them from walking directly out. Visual and audible warnings are great, but don't make them so they blind people, and position them so that they're less vulnerable to vandals. I know from our local Facebook group that generally people feel safer crossing now that there's some technology in place to give a warning. But if they really wanted to significantly reduce incidents at this crossing, then a footbridge is the answer. I know these aren't cheap and can cost the best part of £1 million, but if they really want to make this crossing safe, then that's the only answer. I think given how much this crossing is used and how close it is to the children's play area, it wouldn't be a completely unreasonable option. Anyway, just a few thoughts from me on the new crossing. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd be interested to know if you have any information on these types of crossings or know how much they cost. I'll leave you with 2 videos of the new measurement train, one from me of it passing over the crossing we've just been talking about, and another from Network Rail of it narrowly missing some idiots at the crossing just before this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll hopefully see you again soon.